Let us chat. Liz Jones, Jones Realty Group is with us. Liz, as I made a comment before, the numbers I gave are national numbers. And I'm a firm believer that national numbers are good for radio. Absolutely worthless when you're trying to sell a house.
Totally.
Right? Because you know what's going on in your neighborhood. And what might be going on in my neighborhood is not the same as your neighborhood.
Yes, you're right.
So you're coming to us predominantly Murrieta,
Temecula, Inland Valley.
Inland Valley.
Yeah.
Do you ever get away from the
sure.
vineyards?
Yeah.
There's some beautiful property out there.
Absolutely. Just listed something myself out there on the land. Beautiful vineyard.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm a Paso fan of wines, but I love going out to Paso to Temecula.
Yeah.
So tell me about what's the market like in called Inland Valley?
Well, yeah, Inland Valley is short. Everybody really has Temecula as a center point for that Inland Valley. So, what we're finding is I'm hearing some really tough situations where a lot of my folks are not able to find the housing that they want. So what we're seeing is that the property values are shooting up. The mortgage interest rates are shooting up. They're having a struggle getting into these houses. Rents are up. So where someone might have a $3,500 budget, that's not getting them anywhere close into a house.
Into a house for renting or for buying?
For buying.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you're looking at some real struggles there. So I've got some sad stories.
That's a shame because we want people to be able to get a house.
Yeah.
Right. I mean as long as they've got the job. One of the things I hate seeing is when people buy a house and then they're married to the mortgage instead of their family.
And that happens too.
Right. Okay. So that's a challenging part of it. So is there a solution or is it just or is the only solution a tent?
Well, I think that California has such a high probability of keeping people out of homes. I mean, we're seeing more and more people try to rent homes, right? And getting into those homes. And then we're also seeing opportunities. So our lenders like you are putting people into homes. We just had that Dreams for All, but that blew out in 9 days.
Right.
So so that's not a solution. Our veterans
Dreams for very few.
Dreams for very few. Totally. Yeah, there's always a solution. You got to talk it through. You got to plan for it. So.
And that's the big issue right there is the planning process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, getting through and having that consultation with a professional realtor, having a consultation with a lending team that understands these things.
Totally.
I'm a big believer that I've other than a few fraud cases, I don't believe in ever telling somebody they can't buy a house.
Yeah.
The fraud cases I just walk away from. We want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
But the other ones, it's let's get a plan.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you can't get that 4-bedroom house with a pool and a white picket fence.
Well, it'd be nice to just start somewhere. And
right.
I've got some people that are coming across the country and nice income, $130,000, and they're looking for something. They've got 2 kids in tow and single woman. So I'm telling her, let's get you into something like a condo, and it's a step up to the next house. Because to get her into a house, she's going to have to put a lot of money in that property.
So what are you seeing as appreciation in? I mean,
wow, it's crazy.
Is it really crazy?
It has been.
Still?
It has been. So in our market, in the Temecula market, what we saw is the first part of last year was insane. It just was a carryover. And then it went to a dead stop in pretty much July, September, and all the way through December. So we saw a little pullback about 5%, but we've seen a steady flow that's increasing in our area.
Okay, so it's a good investment.
Always. I really believe that if you talk to some of my veterans that have moved here, or even my VA guys that have moved here, what they found is they bought their house in 2017. They're walking away with $150,000 with zero money down. I mean, where can you do that kind of investment? And when they're moving to their next spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
Oh yeah. Now it's not forever. I mean, it's not always. You could be on the wrong side of that. You're moving.
Well, there's no guarantees.
Yeah.
But especially when it's veterans, I love it for everybody, but I'm passionate about the veterans.
Absolutely.
Right. So they're coming in, get no money down. I mean, in the VA loan, you can actually get into the property with less than the lease startup.
Absolutely.
Right. So they especially get a great real estate agent that helps negotiate, maybe pay a little extra and get the closing costs all covered or something like that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And that's happening more and more now.
Okay. So the beauty there, and then so 150,000 in a couple of years. Think about that concept though.
No,
because
beginning of wealth.
That's like having a second or third income or fourth income.
Totally.
right? Because I don't know if they're making that kind of money in the military,
No.
but probably not. Probably not. You got to have a few stars or stripes to get that kind of income. But the bottom line is that that's some serious wealth building, and we actually know that you can actually have more than one VA loan if you got to change a station.
I hear you. I hear you.
So
absolutely.
Maybe you want to keep that property, have Liz rent it out for you. Do you help with rentals?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a big gig right now. We're having a lot of people that want to add on to their second home. They made the jump, they made the move, they have the equity in their house, and they're trying to get investment property now. That's probably the hardest place for people to find a good investment that pencils out. So that's where California rates and values are really, really struggling. And a lot of investors waiting in the wings for that.
So maybe our homeowners need to get in and take those away from the investors. And when we come back, I might give you an idea on that one. I'll see what Liz's thought is. Continue our conversation. Liz Jones Realty is with us this morning.
Hey there.
So before the break, we were talking about investment properties and people trying to find investment properties. But I want to throw a concept at you and get your opinion.
Sure.
So you have somebody that's outgrown their property and they want, or they just want, they have a want. Maybe they don't even have a need. They just want to buy something bigger, nicer, better, faster. I'm old. Yes, I do remember the $6 million man. And they keep the old property and buy a new one for themselves.
Absolutely. I just lived through one of those situations. It was someone who had 2 W-2 incomes. They also had a small business on the side. Their house, they had totally outgrown it, 4 kids, and it's a 3-bedroom house. They found an opportunity, something that I had listed. And in this case, we could convince the seller to do seller financing.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have to explain that.
So in the case of seller financing, the home is owned outright. So let's say there's a boomer in a house and they own the house outright. And they decide that it would make sense for them. They didn't need to take the cash out to buy their next house. And it would make sense for them to go ahead and hold the mortgage. So that's a stream of income coming into the seller. And at the same time, it's an opportunity for someone who may not show as much on paper because they own a little business on the side and that doesn't show up on taxes. So in that case, they were able to hold on.
Shows up on their taxes. They just have a lot of write-offs.
Yeah, totally. So they were able to hold on to their original house and they used it as a rental. And they bought this new house, a seller finance, which was a much bigger product for all their family. So now they have 2 houses under their belt.
Nice. And seller financing, that means they don't have to go through all of the underwriting and all of the rigmarole.
Right.
Which doesn't help our finance team, but that's okay. We love it because it helps an individual.
Absolutely. But that's a one-off. But
Right.
At the same time, when you think about it, there's so much equity in a lot of the products that people bought 5 years ago.
Sure.
Right now, they can use some of that equity, go and buy the bigger house and hold on to that and rent it because rents are up.
We just looked, and I don't know in the Murrieta Temecula area, nationally, I saw the last statistic I said was 42% is the debt load on average on homes across the country.
Crazy. Absolutely.
A lot of equity out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for that reason, I think we're not going to see those tremendous foreclosures that we saw. I really don't think so. I know people are frightened of that, but it's not yet here. So
yeah, and I get those numbers all the time, and you're spot on, right? That if you're holding out, if your strategy is to buy a foreclosure, you might be waiting a long time.
And you're competing against a lot of cash buyers.
That's a great
big money.
Great concept.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you got no chance.
So Murrieta is Riverside County, right?
Correct.
So the entire county, that's a big county.
Yes, it is one of the biggest in the county.
As of April 25th, there are a whopping 966 NODs and 557 properties in foreclosure.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, you're just buying a bag of trouble is what you are when you're buying the foreclosure.
Why's that?
There's going to be things found in every single one of them. Not only are you paying probably close to market value right now for those, but then you have to tear out everything. You have to put in all appliances. The cost to refurbish all of those things are going to be far exceeding when it comes to just finding a nice market value home, something that just needs a facelift.
So why wait?
You shouldn't wait.
That makes, yeah, exactly. And And the whole concept is there's so much financing out there.
Absolutely.
I mean, when they talk, there's money's not hard to find.
No, it's not. No, and no, I've seen parties that I've worked with have managed to find hard money loans when you never thought they'd be available, or have found loans on land, which is almost non-existent.
Right.
So it can be found.
It's just a matter of having experienced people.
Absolutely.
Right. And you having done this for a day or two.
Yeah.
Or maybe 3.
Or 3.
Right. So you've got a bank of people that you can work with to guide people to.
Totally.
Right. So that's the whole bottom line to that. You mentioned before the California Dream Program. I was not a big fan of it, although we did see one of the problems with it. And thankfully, we shared it on air. I don't know if it had anything to do with them correcting that problem, but I'm sure there were other people that voiced the same issue. But there's still programs out there with down payment assistance.
Absolutely.
That you can get into with no money down.
Absolutely. Great.
And you don't have to share your equity.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
But the bottom line here, so let's dive into your client there.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a house, and we don't need to get too specific, but what's the value of that property? Just roughly.
I would probably say 560.
560.
Right.
And what's the value of the property that they are acquiring?
750.
750. So now I have to do real math.
Sorry.
What's that? 1.3 million, give or take? 1.2, 1.3?
Yeah, roughly.
And I didn't look up the appreciation for Temecula Murrieta area, but I can real quick.
Over the last 2 years, you're looking at 40, but what we're going to see is probably 5-6.
Okay, so at 5%, I can do that one.
Okay.
So that's about $65,000 a year in appreciation for those 2 properties. Think about that concept. That's, with them having 2 W-2 incomes and a small business, that's probably a fourth revenue stream, or not revenue, but stream of income or wealth for the family.
Absolutely.
So that's a great. Now, think about this one, because I do. I'm not a fan, but one of the things that I don't like is 401ks and IRAs. And the reason I don't like them is because they're geared for pay more taxes. That's what if everything goes really, really well on a 401k, it's made for you to pay more taxes, right? If you have $1,000 right now and you pay taxes on it, you're going to pay probably $300 in taxes. If it does really well and grows to $10,000, you get to pay $3,000 in taxes. Now, if you've got real estate and you take a loan against it, no taxes.
Right. Especially if it's a rental, you're writing all that off.
You're writing it off. Exactly. So I just looked right here for Riverside County 92562. I think that's the Murrieta area.
It is.
5-year appreciation 7.03, 10-year appreciation 6.30, and 63 years of appreciation averages 5.01. You're spot on.
Close.
So think about this. I mean, that's a great retirement plan.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And I don't know what interest the seller is charging them. Great concept for the seller, because they now know what they're going to collect for the next 10 years. I know it might be a 30-year loan, but I mean, keeping it maybe 10 years, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a stream of revenue that they know they're getting too.
Absolutely.
Everybody wins.
Absolutely. How many times have you heard someone say, I should have held on to that property because it really jumped in value?
Only every homeowner I've ever come across.
Totally. So,
Right.
I mean, in that case, no, I'm not trying to put a place in here and saying, don't sell your home. But I am saying, if you can afford to buy another one, your real estate portfolio is a great way to accumulate wealth.
So the concept here is if you can afford to buy another one. So let's dig into that a little bit. If you've got, while you're living in the property, if you've got equity, take it out, right? Take the equity out. So you've got a property that house that has that 506, let's just run with that one.
Mm-hmm.
$560,000 value.
Right.
Do you have any idea what they owe on it?
I think they owe $220.
$220. Oh, I love this. We didn't even plan this, right? So you can take out $150,000 pretty easy.
Right.
Leave 25% behind. While you live there, take that money out, because now it's a primary residence loan. Stay there for a short period of time because you have to commit to that with the lender, and then take that $150,000. Now, if I have $150,000 in cash, Liz, can I buy another house?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? Especially and when you as a lender, you understand that if they have a rental value or stream of rental income coming in, no problem. It adds to your income source.
Right.
So that's great.
Right. Absolutely. So now we can go and buy a $600,000, $700,000 house in the valley. Is there something good that I can buy at
Absolutely.
600 and 700?
Yeah. And between that, you'll get a perfect little house.
So at 700, I'm going to say to you as a lender, do not ever put $150,000 down on a $700,000 house. Never. But you have to listen in, and I'll tell you why when we come back. Continuing our conversation, Liz Jones is with us, Liz Jones Realty Group. So before the break, we were chatting about, and I love this because we didn't even plan it, and I just got the numbers from Liz while we're on air in the last segment. If you missed it, shame on you. But you can go to Ron Siegel 1, or you can go to ronsiegelradio.com and look in the archives. So we're talking about a $560,000 valued property that has a $260,000 loan. Family might wants to buy something bigger, newer, brighter, better. They just want to. Maybe they need to. I don't know. We didn't even go into that. But I said, let's take $150,000 out of that property, refinance it, and let's buy a new house. And Liz said that we can buy a new house for $700,000 out in the Murrieta, Temecula area. And I said, don't put $150,000 down because there's no price break there when on the loan side. So when we look at loans, there's about 2 or 3 dozen what we call loan level price adjustments. Things that go into the loan as to how we price it, and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac set these up. So there's a price break at 20%. Is $150,000 20%? No. $140,000 would be 20%. So what do we do with the other 10? Well, home equity always makes you 0 rate of return because the property is going to appreciate regardless of how much the equity is. That $560,000 house in that area forecasted over the last 5 years, or if we use the last 5-year history, is going to appreciate at 7.03%, whether it's got a $220,000 loan, a $370,000 loan, a $560,000 loan, or no loan. So the loan is irrelevant. We're going to take that 150. We're going to put 140,000 down on the new property. 10,000, you can either invest it or use it to buy down the interest rate a little bit. It's called points. And people say, well, I don't want to play any points. That's because no one's explained to you the value of points. Because you probably said, what's the interest rate? And you might not like it. Well, paying points gets you a lower interest rate. Do you like that? That's the concept. So think about this whole thing, because now this family, we talked about them, they now have $1.3 million in their real estate portfolio.
Absolutely.
Appreciating it. Oh, let's use a 6-year number at 6.3%, or the 63-year number at 5.01. And being that I'm easy on math, 5% would be $65,000 a year.
That's great. I mean,
right?
Who makes six? I mean, for not doing anything, just living there,
right?
65 a year.
So you've got that property, and now the new property, you put 140,000 into it, and the new property is 700,000. So that's contributing 35,000, right? So if my math is correct, that's about a 25% return on capital.
Awesome.
Right? Where are you going to go and get 25% on your investments?
Nowhere.
And you have a roof over your head.
Absolutely. And you're enjoying it. And you're having a stream of income come in from the rental. Right.
This is just called planning, right? You have a great real estate professional helping you navigate these properties. The thing you and I talked about at the beginning, or off air, I think, was the concept of this single mom coming out here with 2 kids.
Absolutely.
Looking at an apartment.
Right.
Can you find a cheap, quote unquote, cheap starter home?
You can. It's not going to be the home of your dreams, but it is a home.
Well, your apartment's probably not the home of your dreams either.
No, it's not. No.
Right? Are they comparable in cost value as far as monthly payments?
I think you're getting close. So you're probably within $1,000.
Okay. So you might have a couple of years of stress.
Unless you buy down the interest rate. And again, there you just matched it. Then the $1,000 just disappeared.
So you have more purchasing power or better budget.
Right.
And again, if you go to our discussion where I've done this for you, rsrbuydown.com, rsrbuydown.com. There are 4 or 5 ways of getting that budget number better. I like some better than others. I'm not a big fan of the 2-1 buy down or the 3-2-1 buy down because they're not permanent.
Totally.
Right? I like the permanent buy downs because then you don't have stress. Right? The temporary buy downs, you have to say, what happens if I don't have a job at that time? So that brings in stress. I don't like stress. Right?
Totally.
Especially a single mom.
Yeah. In this case, that's a perfect option for her.
Right? And I look at that, I don't know, is it chivalrous or chauvinist? I don't know which it is. I look at my kids and I look at single moms, they're like kids. I'm old. I say, what would I tell my kids? Right? And I tell my kids, don't put risk in your primary residence. Right?
Yeah, totally.
So keep a permanent rate so you know what your payments are going to be for the next 30 years. Then they can go down if the interest rates go down, but they're not going to go up.
Absolutely.
Right. And so, you've got so many solutions for families as long as they call a professional.
Absolutely.
That's the idea.
As we start to have a little of the worry about our currency, about our banking system, there's steadiness knowing that you have a roof over your head. I mean, when you think about that stability, that's a great place to put your money.
Yeah, because you don't want the roof over your head to look a lot like a tent. Right? I want mine to say Horton, not Coleman. Right? It's just throwing that out there as an aside. There's so much going on out there and all over. I mean, I look at it and I didn't look and see what I should have looked at this. Median home price in 92562, according to Black Knight, 632,303.
That sounds about right. 632 is about right.
Orange County is 1,032,000.
Crazy, right? Now that number a year and a half ago would have been in the 4s. So,
wow.
and that's the thing that people need to understand. If you're waiting for a better time, you're wasting your time. I mean, I think there was some fact that I once read that over the last 20 years, there's been 43 increases in housing pricing, but only 7 drops. I mean, you're waiting for one time to drop before you jump in.
Right. That doesn't make any sense.
No, totally doesn't.
Right? The bottom line is you got to get in there, get active. And as Warren Buffett says, if the prices go down,
it's
buy
on sale.
more.
That's right. It's on sale.
Buy more.
That's right.
Or like you said, it's on sale.
That's right.
Right. So if you're thinking about moving to Murrieta, Temecula area, give me a call at 800-306-1990. I've got Liz's card in my hand. I know you're not ready to write down all her information, but I've got it. You got my information. I'll give it to you. You call her, get your family set up with a consult. Do you do consultations?
Absolutely.
Right. Set up an appointment for a consultation and get on the right path for your family. Come and see us at the First Time Home Buyer. And it can be, even if it's not your first time, come see us at that First Time Home Buyer workshop. You might even walk out with a loan approval, rsrfthb.com, rsrfthb.com. Come over and visit us. I guarantee it costs you nothing. And education is always good. Just throw that out there for you. You'll at least walk out with a new friend.